going on with Josh Giddy?
Yeah, that's a tough story.
Talk to me about Josh Giddy.
See, I don't know the full story. You know, it's that case of underage girl, overaged guy.
Has anybody ever asked you that question one time? Have you ever had underage sex?
Wait, what?
There's like a question people ask on like Instagram. There's a question that people are asking. It's like, have you ever had underage sex? And it's like you can't say yes or no.
That's a crazy question.
It is because you have to think of. Never mind.
That's a horrible question.
Forget it. It's a crazy question, right?
Yeah, that's a terrible question.
But think about that like question that gets asked. Like, we'll talk about it after. But it's wild.
Yeah, that's wild.
If you see where I'm going with this,
that's crazy. But yeah, Josh Giddy, unfortunately, in a tough situation here with allegations of having activities with a minor.
Mark Daigneault gives update on Josh Giddy's status in the midst.
But
Oklahoma City head coach Mark Daigneault clarification of Josh Giddy's immediate game status at NBA's 21-year-old for an inappropriate relationship with a minor in his pregame. Be able to play today.
So what I did see recently on Twitter, I think it was yesterday, a video came out of that same girl was in a club, and you can't get into a club if you are underage. Showing
allegedly.
Well, yeah. So yes. It would suggest that she lied about her age. If she's in the club with Josh Giddy, you gotta be 21 to be in a club.
Should be allegedly.
But how is he supposed to know?
It's an interesting road you're going down.
It is.
But I'm gonna.
So if I'm playing,
what I will say is, every man who's at the age of 21. Every person who is of age to do anything with any person, you should be doing as much due diligence as possible with the women that you are encountering.
I mean, what else? I'm favoring Josh Giddy right now, trying to give him benefit of the doubt.
Okay.
Because
now, how old did they say this girl was?
I don't know. Actually, 17 maybe.
Okay.
Now,
he's living in Oklahoma. So I don't know what the statute of limitations are.
Was it in Oklahoma?
Or statutory limitations, rather.
I don't know where this took place.
Josh Giddy.
I guess you have to assume Oklahoma,
situation. Right? Because I just don't know.
It's so tough. Regardless what happens, it's kind of a blemish on his personal brand.
Had a relationship with an underage girl, and has since deleted post. An anonymous social media user says girl who was seen with Giddey in videos, photographs was a high school junior at the time. Social media account has been since deactivated. Giddey is an Australian who turned 21 in October. We're looking into it. Giddey and no comment. I understand the question, obviously, he said, but there's no further comment right now. I get the question, guys. I completely understand you guys want to know about it, but just for right now, I don't have anything to say. Yeah, he shouldn't be saying anything.
Yeah, no, you can't. Don't say anything.
Where do you think this goes for Josh Giddy?
Regardless what happens, it's still not a good look.
No, it's not a good look. And I don't know. Well, see, now there's some interesting things here because I didn't know he was Australian.
I didn't know that either.
So Australians may have a much different outlook on age and consent and timing of things. Now, I don't know if he was, because that's the thing. I don't know how long ago this was either. Did they say how long ago this was? Because if it was, let's say, a year ago and he was 20 and she was 17, and now the statutory limits were 3 years or 4 years or whatever the case may be. Now he's in America and he has to deal with those laws here. It becomes a very interesting scenario.
Yeah. It's tough.
But at the same time, he's got to do a little bit more due diligence about his career. He is an NBA player. He is making a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
Not as much as everybody else yet because he's still very young. But his career is ascending in the right direction. That being said, he's still allowed to play. where do you see? Do you think leagues should have a say in what goes on with its players outside of the game?
As in, like,
this.
what do you mean?
How the NBA is investigating this, right? And now we got to put into perspective. He is very young.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's a child.
My age.
Right? He's a child. And so that being said, it's not that he doesn't. It's not that he's not smart, and it's not that he didn't make a bad choice. But think about how many 21-year-olds we give leeway.
Yeah.
We give 21-year-olds a lot of leeway in this country to make mistakes. I was just having this conversation the other day about one of my friends who had a really interesting conversation. I won't get into it, but they had a problem with one of their parents who called one of my best friends her father had some interesting words that he didn't mean to get out about her boyfriend, who's one of my other best friends. And one of the things that I think that was interesting about that conversation that I thought later, after that conversation was done, is you have, like, they've been together for about 8 years. And you have about 4 years. They've been together since they were like 19. And so you have about 4 years of college to be like a loser, like an idiot. Like, you can be an idiot for a little bit. And, like, not necessarily a loser, that's a bad word, but you can make bad choices. And you can kind of mess up if you want to on a consistent basis. And, like, we just got to keep giving you mulligans, right? Just keep giving you, like, passes after passes. And so, because eventually you're going to get it right. And you're supposed to get it right later, right? You're not supposed to get it right at 21. So Josh Giddey, how right is he supposed to get it at 21? But just because he's an NBA player.
Yeah, I mean, just because he's an NBA player might change things for people.
Yeah, like, do we put too much emphasis on them being excellent at what they do versus them not still knowing how the world operates?
It's almost like we dehumanize them.
Or do you think we give them too much money at an early age? And what is the right amount of money? Because there's a lot of people who aren't doing what he's doing at that young age.
Yeah.
So clearly they're still doing things right. Like, the odds are in his favor to make more poor decisions, but there's people who aren't making poor decisions at his same age.
Yeah.
But who do you, like, which side do you go with? Like, hey, he made a really bad choice because he's this age, or he made a really bad choice because he's this age and he's got a lot of money and he's an NBA player and he thinks he can do whatever he wants?
I think it's both. Like,
it's got to be a little bit of both.
It's got to be both.
In my opinion, I think it's got to be a little bit of both.
Yeah, I think it's more so the age and developing and still making bad decisions. The money doesn't help.
Think about what these guys have to do, and this is where, like, I come in as an agent, right? Like, so, like, when I think about clients and I think about my professional clients, a lot of those guys and women, men and women, are very young, and I'm very young. So, like, I'm going to make choices that aren't smart, but I've made more of them that are smart. So, but does that make me just like the smartest guy in the room? No. It just makes my timing of those situations more beneficial for me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, Josh Giddy could be a really, really smart guy, and he could have had a really good conversation with this girl, and he should have known, hey, I think I'm in a bad position here because I think the age gap where we're at could hinder me.
But how would he know?
Well, he's got to ask.
But what if she said I'm 21?
But he's got to ask.
And she's got a fake idea that says she's 21. You got to bring out the birth
But
certificate?
it's up to what you believe. It's up to what you believe, right? So, like, if you don't think, and that's where I would say he's wrong. Because if you don't fully believe it, and you think that there's even a glimmer of a doubt, like, you got to do your due diligence. You got to try your best or avoid it, right? Like, he still has a chance to make choices that are beneficial for him in the long run. And, like, if he had any doubt that this girl wasn't the age that she was supposed to be, he's got to go and make himself a right decision. And one of the things that's different that's at the highest level, especially in the NBA, especially then with the NBA is working with the agencies, right? And they don't necessarily love working with the agencies but they have to, because they know that their players are being protected. So with that, the NBA itself, their teams, the organizations give the players handlers, right? So Josh Giddey will do things that he wants on his own time because he's his own person. But when he's putting himself in scenarios that maybe he's going out to the club because he's got friends who are going out into the club. He's a rookie, so he's going out with the veterans and things like that. They have people out there to make sure that they don't get in trouble, specifically don't get in trouble or put themselves in harm's way. Now, they can't do everything, but they do about 90% of the job. Like, hey, Josh, where you at? Hey, Josh, where you going? Where are you going? Right? Hey, Josh, we're going to go to the club with you because we just want to make sure that everything's all good and copacetic, and like we'll hang out with you there. But like, and they become friends, and those are the people that you usually bring in, like sometimes around the entourage. That's one thing that you got to learn too. The entourage ain't always the best. Sometimes you got to pick the right people in your entourage, and know what people you're moving around with, because the people who you're moving around with are going to decide a lot of things for you, and they're going to enable a lot of things, or they're going to take you out of harm's way. So that's where my other question would be is, who didn't screen this person, right? Like, if you're around an NBA commodity, you got to be able to screen and understand and vet out what's going on here. Somebody should have told him, I don't think that girl is of age.
Yeah.
Somebody knows that he was hanging around this girl.
Okay. Yeah.
He's not the only person that knew this.
That changes. Yeah, that changes my
like if you came, if we went out somewhere and you were 21 and I saw the girl that you were around and I knew that she wasn't of the age, but I knew that you would have a potential to, you know, either like this person or continue to advance the conversation or whatever it could be, I would let you know, hey, I don't think that person's of age, right? Now, you're going to ultimately do what you want, but you also aren't smart enough yet fully, right? You're a smart guy, but you're not you haven't maybe been in those scenarios yet where you've been pressed to be able to say, you know what, I can make this choice right now and it may not hurt me now, right? Like, you haven't been in those scenarios. Josh Giddy was. He's making at least $1 million in the NBA. Let's look at his contract.
I guess that, that makes things a little different.
He's a good player, too.
I guess it does come down to your environment and who you're around, because if that same exact scenario happened that you just said and you came up to me and said that, I'm out of there. I'm right out of there.
You got to be. Oh, listen. Josh Giddy.
That comes down to the environment of who you're around.
Josh Giddy signed a 4-year, $27 million contract with Oklahoma City Thunder, including $27 million guaranteed and an annual average salary of $6.8 million. In 2023-2024, Giddy will earn a base salary of $6.5 million while carrying a cap hit of $6.5 million. Now, since he's an international sign, I don't know if I think he got drafted, but his draft status. Oh, wait, hold on. Oh, yeah, he was he's a lottery pick in 2021. Yeah, no, you're a commodity. Like, you're a way bigger commodity. He didn't just sign. Like, he's a lottery pick, man. He's a top 6 pick in the draft. Yeah, no, Josh Giddy, you gotta wear that a little bit, man. You gotta know what's going on. And the people at the Oklahoma City Thunder have to make sure that they know what's going on with him. You can't just put him in he cannot put himself, he's not allowed to put himself in scenarios that he doesn't know what's going on. But he's also a kid.
Yeah, he is. It's a very tough situation.
It's a really
tough situation. I don't know. We'll see where it goes, I guess. I mean, what do you do now?
It's tough because the money doesn't even come with the fame, because I don't think if this didn't happen, you wouldn't know really who Josh Giddy was. The average person doesn't know who Josh Giddy is.
Right.
The average human being who watches sports doesn't know who Josh Giddy is unless he puts himself in a situation like this. So it's not even a conversation of like fame over being rich. Like Kyle and I talk about it all the time. Like, he's like, I don't even want fame. I don't want to be rich. I was like, I just want to be wealthy, and I want to move low, and I want to be like able to be out the way.
Retweet.
And some people want to be famous, like, and I think some of it you kind of can't, especially now. Excuse me, with the way social media kind of operates, and how you have to use it to your advantage. You almost get famous before you get rich, or sometimes you're famous and you're just famous. You may not even be rich. I know a lot of famous people who aren't rich. I know more famous people who aren't rich, who maybe are making 6 figures, maybe. Some of them are making 5 figures, but they got 300,000 followers on Instagram. So that's where their following is. It looks like that 20,000 followers, 100,000 followers here, and they look famous, right? But they don't have anything to show for it if you really dive in. But like Josh Giddy, to the average person, like your mom doesn't know who Josh Giddy is. Your mom may never know who Josh Giddy is if he wasn't in the news. You know? Interesting. It's really, really interesting.